Hi, this is Cheryl Grant from Sassy Cheryl Stamps. Today we're going to be finishing up coloring this image that is brand new to the shop called May I Have the Stamps. This is part 3 of the tutorial. If you would like to follow along with part 1 and part 2, check out my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. Today in this tutorial I am using all Faber-Castell pencils. They're Polychromos pencils. Now in part 1 and part 2 we decided that the light source was coming from the left. So I'm going to use dark indigo number 157. And I'm going to shade on her shorts where I think the light is not going to hit quite as much. Now this is guesswork for me. I don't know about you, but I don't go for realism. I go for what I think looks correct or feels good to me. I'm using light circular strokes to color in the shading underneath her shorts or her t-shirt line, down through the crotch area, and over to the side. Now remember, don't stress yourself out over this. Go for what looks good to you. Pretend that you're the only one that's going to see it, and I guarantee you the end result is going to be much better because you're not feeling like you're coloring to get someone's approval. Remember, have fun. So I'm continuing coloring where the darkest areas I think would be. Then I'm going to come in with my second blue color, and I'm using Prussian Blue, and this is number 246. This is for shading, adding more color, and also blending. Now, most of the time when I add any color, I do not have a sharp tip or a pointy tip. I usually color with a dull tip when I add the color. A sharper tip, to me, is more permanent. It gives you more stroke lines. It's harder to blend, and it's also harder to erase if you need to, and it will also make your work look shiny, unless that's the look you're going for. Now I'm not going completely over the dark indigo. I'm just going to the edge, part of the edge. And then I'm going to come back in with sky blue number 146, and this is for lighter shading and again more blending. Now I usually work from the outside or the inside out. With the lighter color, sometimes I do press a little harder to get rid of some of those stroke lines. And you're going to continue to alternate in between your colors to get the shading results that you want. Again, preference of pushing or using the pencil as far as pushing harder or lighter is totally up to you. I just think they blend better when you don't push quite as hard. Just don't overthink it. And anyone who knows my drawings knows that I don't put a lot of detail as far as creasing and things in that. I do it on my own, but not necessarily in all of my my drawings. Now continue to alternate your colors to blend. Now I'm going to come in with Payne's Gray, number 181, and give just a little bit darker shading. Gray and blue match very well in this instance. So just continue shading and blending. Then I'm going to come in with Warm Gray number 3 as an overtone. It's a little bit lighter. I could use white, but white just doesn't work for this instance. And we're going to blend those colors together a little bit more. And then I come back in again with the sky blue. Just keep alternating till you get the look that you want. Some people like strokes in their work, some people don't. Mine really depends on how I think it looks when I'm doing it. Sometimes they're lined, sometimes they're not. But just keep alternating until you get it the way you like it. Now if you want to add some detail for her shorts, you can leave them just like this. But if you want to add some stripes or something, most of the time if you do that, you're going to want a very sharp tip. Not too sharp where it'll break. I've had that happen before. But add the details lightly, and you can go over these again if you want them a little bit darker. But I'm using dark indigo number 157 for this detail on her shorts. As I said, it's a preference to whether you want it or not. So then we're going to move on to her socks. Again, I'm going to use light or sky blue for this. And this is number 146. And again, I'm not pressing very hard. Pressing hard gives you too much of a shiny look. Think about where the light source would not hit, and make that part the shading area. Then I'm going to come back in with cold gray, and that is cold gray 2, that's number 251. And I'm going to go over that sky blue. Sometimes you get it right the first time, but other times you may want to add a little bit more color. So just alternate the colors as needed for the shading that you desire. I'm using the sky blue again. And I'm just going back over both of those colors. So then we're going to start working on her shoes, her black patent leather shoes as I call them. Now I'm going to start with black, and I'm going to color or shade where I think the darkest areas would be, where the sun would not hit. And again, this doesn't have to be accurate. It's not realism, it's fun. I didn't even care for realism when I was in college. Didn't do very well with it. To me, art is an expression. You color how you feel. So after I add the black, I'm going to come back in with cold gray number 2, and that's number 251, and I'm going to lightly add the color in circular motions, not pressing too hard, slightly blending the lines around where I put the black. Then after that, I'm going to come in with Payne's Gray, number 181, and add a little bit more shading. This is very similar to black, but a little bit more of a charcoal color. And I'm going to continue blending over both of the black and the cold gray, thinking about where the light source would hit. Her shoes would be shinier where the sun is hitting. So you want to leave a little bit of white space there. Don't want to color over the whole shoe. And again, it's just guesswork, or at least to me it is. So keep alternating your colors. Now I'm going to come back in with the black, and I'm going to go back over that, adding a little bit more detail where the shading would be. And I'm also blending. Just have fun with it. After you put those shadings in, then you can come back in with your other colors. Just keep alternating. Now here I'm going to be a little bit darker on this left-hand side because the sun would not be hitting there. Then I'm going to use warm gray number 3, which is number 272. And I'm going to start to do final blending on this, trying to get out those lines and also giving it a little more depth. But again, it's not realism, it's fun. Always remember that. Don't stress yourself out, pretend like you're the only one that's going to see it. Just a few more details. Keep blending, alternate, shade. It's a build-up process. No one got the right color the first time with one color. That's why there's so many beautiful colors in the Faber-Castell pencils. And Prismacolor, for that matter. But just continue shading where the light does not hit. And do your final blending. Continue until you are happy with the result. That's what matters. And you can go lightly over the white area so that it's not such a stark white. Now I'm going to color her soles. I'm using the same cold gray to put a little light shading on the fronts of her shoes. And then I'm going to use cold gray number 3, 251 for the back side. And then come in with Payne's Gray number 181 to put those final shading areas on the bottoms of her shoes. Now we have to give her a little ground to stand on. So I'm using Bistre number 182. She's obviously standing in dirt if I use brown. Sometimes I use green for the grass or gray. But since I had gray on her soles, I decided to use brown. Then I'm going to use brown ochre number 182. And I'm going to lightly shade over that, kind of blending the lines, but not a lot. And then I'm going to use warm gray number 1, and that's 270 for the blending. Don't push too hard because it will make it shiny. So as you see in the first one that I showed you, I have a little bit of extra detail on her shirt. Now you can decide to do that or not, but if you do, I use Pale Geranium Lake number 121. Again, using a sharp pencil to put those details in. I just think it's a little bit more fun. So be sure to check out my other videos and tutorials for part 1 and part 2. on my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. And this is May I Have This Dance, and it's available at sassycherylstamps.com. Thanks for watching.